There is some kind of gang war in Cleveland involving the Teamster Union and professional gangsters. The figures over recent months show that for those involved, life expectancy is very short and getting shorter.
In the late 1930s, the Teamsters began to organize the long-haul freight truck drivers who were becoming an increasingly important part of the economy. There was violence. Troops were called in. Employers hired hoodlums and goons to break up the union movement. The Teamsters hired their own hoodlums. It was the beginning of a working relationship between organized crime and the Teamsters.
Well, we'd go to these strikes and you'd fight. And they had picket lines, and at that time you could fight, you know, and the cops wouldn't do nothing. And then the parking lots, like I say, I threw acid on cars. The transportation driver, same thing. We'd ruin their cars, put sugar in, or, you know, with our trucks, you know. And that's it. I mean, I did a lot of work for them, you know, when I was a kid. The first one, the secretary-treasurer called me and said, Jimmy, bring me 10 guys, you know. So I would pay him $5 a piece. I would get $15 for every person. Now, for me, I'd get 50 a day for on the picket line. And I would get 15 for each one I had. So I'd give them $5 and I'd keep 10. So other guys would do the same thing from their neighborhood, you know, would bring 10. Well, maybe we'd have 100, 150 guys, tough guys, you know, guys that could handle their dukes, see? And that's the way they used to work it in them days. You would hire. I would bring kids, you know, guys 18, 19 years old, and that's the way it worked.
And how did this affect the growth of the union?
Well, they'd win the strike, you know what I mean, and eventually the more members they got, but they was always did good for the working class. You know, they always got them good money and got them raises. Well, like I say, that the mob started these unions from the ground floor in the 20s. See what they do. They controlled the vice presidents. They controlled the delegates. You know, they put who they want in there. Like, let's take Cleveland. Let's take Detroit, Chicago, New York. They control it. So, you know, they all got their key men there. If you don't go along with the program the way they want it, well, maybe they'll use a little violence. You know, people are scared. They don't want to get hurt. And I have never seen where they had problems, you know, at any convention that they ever had. Because that's how well controlled it is. There's one guy out of Detroit that always runs against the president, but they think he's a nut. He never wins, he never comes close.
What about the threat of violence all the time?
Well, sometimes you might have to use violence to get what you want.
Sorry, against the
rank and file, against somebody that's against you all the time. You tell them to lay off, lay off, lay off. You don't do it, well, maybe you got to go to violence. Have somebody break his legs or something, you know. Not necessarily kill him, but hurt him.
And because he's fighting against organized crime.
That's right.